Good afternoon. Thank you for adding that exercise. Clearly, I saw less than 5. And I think my IQ is okay, so it's about the phone. And my lack of sleep, possibly. And one tip, I give it to every anchor. How long have you known Mr. Bhattacharya? How long have you known Mr. Bhattacharya? So always call him Mr. Saurabh Bhattacharya. If you've known him for 25 years, then you can call him whatever you want. Okay? Small tip, but, maybe I'm old, I talk like this, But let me formally introduce Mr. Saurabh Bhattacharya. He's the Additional Executive Director at Center for Smart Governance, Government of Karnataka. He's based in Bangalore. He's currently, as I said, working in the government, but he's had previous roles in the private sector as PricewaterhouseCoopers India, Grant Thornton India, and PricewaterhouseCoopers. He holds an executive management degree in general management from the Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. His skill sets include IT strategy, integration, requirement analysis, business process consulting, and many more. And really, he can add a lot to our topic of how, Fintech is revolutionizing governments and the role of Fintech in harnessing big data and frontier technologies. So, Mr. Bhattacharya, thank you for making time.
Thank you.
I have seen this, a lot of bright young professionals with 15 years, 10 years, 20 years, are joining this movement of working with the government and building social impact, if I may say. And I see it, my friends who've been in the industry 25 years some of them requested me, can I introduce them to these roles? How did the switch happen for a moment?
So I agree with you that there is always a pull towards doing something socially meaningful in your life. My case is slightly different that while I was in the corporate, I was dealing with government. My major clients were always government and I used to work with government. So a lot of major projects which we see at least in Karnataka, I would have been part of it in some way or the other. So having worked and dealt with government somewhere, I thought that why not be part of government to see whether I can make a better impact than what I was trying to do. So that's a switch which I took, which maybe it's a pull sometimes people get in their career that they need to do something meaningful, something different than what they have been doing. That's it. The monotonity I wanted to break.
Thank you so much. I'm sure there's many more with the government bringing in professionals like you to be able to create the impact that private sector creates, and the government is a certain position with all the resources and all the command it has. I'm sure what you're seeing with DPI is just a start of the impact government can make. Now let me come on to the topic, which is about what is the role of Fintech in harnessing big data and leading technologies. Give us examples from Karnataka. How are Fintech companies using big data to improve government services and the experiences of the citizen and improve the life of a citizen?
See, I'll break this answer into two parts. The first thing is what is happening in the ecosystems. If you today see the set of business correspondents which we have, which is trying to reach out to the unbanked sector, the micro-insurance, micro-credit organizations which are forming, these are nothing but social impact, or I would say social entrepreneurship, which is happening, which is impacting the ecosystem. And somewhere that is where a lot of harnessing of information, big data about public is happening. And I think that is the biggest impact I can say. But coming back to a more focused one is what I would say, some examples I will like to draw from what, as an organization, Center for Smart Governance, the organization which I represent, is doing. Now, if you see that we have almost around 5 lakh employees in government today, 5+ lakhs, and then there are pensioners and there are other people. So if you can say that the biggest employer in Karnataka today or anywhere in this country would be government, and subsequently we'll have other agencies. Now, there is a lot of benefits which government gives to them, like insurance they give to them. They give them some medical coverages. Now, these are certain things which till date, before we came into being and we got formed, was actually managed in a very manual manner. For example, in Karnataka, we have a body called Karnataka Government Insurance Department. In short form, we call it as KGID. Now, this body is like an LIC for the government, which is meant to provide insurance cover only to the people, the employees of the government. But how do you provide that? What is the support you provide for claim management? How fast, how better it is? And you will be surprised to know that till 2022 or 2021, maybe 2021, the entire claim management to insurance issuance, everything was paper-based. So if you join government, if you are eligible for insurance, it will take months together to get an insurance. And if you submit your claim, it will take months together to get your claim processed. What we did is that as an organization, we built systems today because of which this insurance is issued to you the day you join, and the claims are settled within 3 to 4 days because everything is now happening electronically. So that is something which we would say that how we have harnessed that, the power of government and information with government to provide a solution to them. Second use case which I would pick up is funds, benefit funds. There is a concept of teachers benefit fund. Now, what happens is that every time you join government as a teacher, you have to put some money in your corpus, and then whenever a new student joins, the corpus is added, beefed up with some more funds which is added. Now, this corpus is used to help any teacher in case of any exigency, medical exigency, in loan for advances for your kids' studies, marriage, or whatever. Now, these all things used to happen, everything manually. Now, we have developed digital cards. These digital cards would help them to not only get detail of what loans they can avail, but instantly avail that loan or advances, whatever is applicable to them, and enjoy the benefits of it for their future. So that is something is what has happened in government. These are two use cases which we have worked on. And obviously there are so many use cases like the set of banking correspondence which I am talking of, for microinsurance, microcredit, which is impacting government and social sector, which is again something which you are doing for the government. So I would say these are the cases which I would.
Fantastic example. Of course, when it comes to healthcare and insurance, the three words are personalized, predictive, and preventive. You know, the healthcare, if you can, and that applies to services also, applies to fintech. Now, fraud are happening in the financial services domain. People are giving away their data. I talked about of mentee's mother who lost 38 lakhs because she got a certain call and she ended up sharing a password and bank details. What are you doing to be able to bring down frauds? What are you doing to do fraud detection early, or to educate the fintech users on the do's and don'ts to be able to prevent fraud? Give us examples.
That's a very interesting question, and it touches us a little personally also because recently when we went through such scam, what happened is that the information which we had published in the public space was skimmed by fraudsters. They used that information, specifically Aadhaar type of information, which was in a naive manner got published in the public space, and they used that data belonging to people from Bangalore or the places in Karnataka was used fraudulently in places in near Nepal border, Gorakhpur and all those places, to actually use the Aadhaar-enabled payment services to fraudulently withdraw money from accounts of innocent individuals. So that is the type of scams which happens regularly. There are cases which we have to fight every day, these type of instances. And every step we take, we find that the fraudster also is able to anticipate and create a new step.
Yeah, they are a little one step ahead.
Ahead of
They're
that.
very innovative.
Very innovative. Means that actually got published in a lot of media spaces also. And if you see the type of technology they used to actually create a imprint of your thumb impression was amazing. And that was happening in somewhere in Kalimpong and all those places, Gorakhpur, and the data belonged to people from Karnataka. So that type of fraud is which we have to deal, or the attempts of fraud is what we have to deal with on a day-to-day manner. So what we have, and that also, creates, we are all part of the same ecosystem where we are also facing a lot of regulatory constraints. So now what we have been doing is that we have been creating our own infrastructure. Like, for example, we have our own vault, a data vault where we store all the critical information in an encrypted manner, so that at any point of time that information cannot get compromised. And one of the biggest challenge for us is that any information which we maintain, at certain point we have to also give it out to the public, because we are governed by RTIs, the Transparency Acts, where information has to be provided. Now, how do you bridge that gap? How do you walk that thin balance is a big challenge, where we have to give information to the public, and also what we have to do is that we have to also ensure that the information is kept so secured that it is not misused, like the incidents I was talking of. Now, we have used technologies like AI, we are using artificial intelligence, we are using predictive analysis to ensure that any information which can lead to any type of attack on the system or manipulation or fraud, we put it into a secured process. In a secured manner, we retain it with us, and we only give out that much information which at any point of time will not compromise neither your personal data, nor it will compromise your financial information or financial account. So that type of systems we are building in, or we maintain to handle such type of frauds.
Brilliant. Now, you talked about your first example of how you've automated or made it paperless. What has been the cost reduction and the efficiency you brought in the government processes, and have the cost of transactions for the government, has it led to a reduction in the number of people who are in administering these things pre the fintech implementation?
The reduction in number of people is a very wrong word to use in government, because in a sense we are not supposed to remove people, we are supposed to give more employment, and that is the way, if you see the current political discourse is going on.
Redeployment.
Redeployment is a rather better word. There is no hard and fast number to say that yes, we would have brought in some sort of an efficiency. There is no such parameter. But what I can say is that when it comes to ease of residency, there is a couple of parameters like ease of doing business or ease of residency or citizenship. You can say that there has been a lot of ease which has happened now. For example, recently when it comes to registration of property, we went live with a system which is a little akin with what you will see when it comes to getting a passport. Now, before you went for, when you had to register your property in the state of Karnataka, you had to be physically present, spend your full day there, stand there and do the transaction with them, with the government. Now, there was an opportunity cost. There was so much of cost which was involved from both the sides. Now, what we have been able to do is that we have translated that into a more of a self-mode process, where sitting at home, you can apply for your registration, you can make your payment using a payment gateway which is exclusively created for the government, and then transact with the government. Now, that obviously has led to a lot of reduction in the type of time which it takes for one person to do transaction. Our estimate is that from the public point of view, a person who used to spend at least 2 to 3 days to get his property registered in Karnataka today would be spending half an hour or 1 hour at least, at the max, to get his property registered. That is the type of efficiency is what we have been able to bring it at certain levels. Now, if you look at financial systems, now this happened some time back around 2018, 2019, we automated our government finances also. What used to happen prior to that is that every transaction which we would do would require you to travel all the way to one particular spot and make payment to government. Means there are two types of payment with government. Either you pay to the government or you get, if you're a contractor or employee, get money from the government. Now you had to travel to pay taxes, to pay anything, you had to travel all the way to one specific point, which would be around 30 to 40 kilometers. And the type of reconciliation which was involved was humongous. You won't believe that there were government accounts were not getting reconciled for 6 to 7 months. There was no reconciliation which was happening. You were not aware whether the account can be settled. Now, the automation which we have brought in has reduced from 6-7 days to 3 to 4 days. 6-7 months to 3 to 4 days. Now we are settling funds in 3 to 4 days. So that type of reforms and efficiency which we have brought, probably it's difficult to quantify in absolute terms, but in terms of opportunity, in terms of the days, you can easily see the efficiency which is brought in.
Now, the beauty about data is that you can do predictive analysis. While you're addressing one issue, you may see there are other problems to be solved, or there is a more innovative way of doing something. So while looking at data, what are the new ideas you've got? Give us an example. What should we expect in the future?
Yeah, I think that's a very interesting, and that's, I think, maybe I thought is something which I can share with the public here also. There are 2-3 things which we have to see now. And I will take 2 specific examples. One which will be very specific to Center for Smart Governance, the body, and the government of Karnataka. But before that, I'll talk of a little more generic eco-space. Now we see there is an era which is coming where we see there's a lot of competitive populist policies which are coming up from political parties, which includes cash transfers. Now, whether we agree or disagree with whatever the economic impact, but this is here to stay. And every political spectrum of any shades would certainly in some form or the other will be following that. Now, it also means a huge amount of opportunity for fintech sector. If a cash is coming to my pocket, I have 2 ways of utilizing it. Either I use it for expending for my needs.
Or put it in a bank.
Put into my bank for my providence. Now, how do you help the unbanked sector or the sector which is now banked but doesn't have that fintech literacy or financial literacy to actually use that money in a more productive manner, probably for their providence, for their future, for their investments? I can see a lot of, in fact, thanks to the fact that I was part of your jury, I could see so many startups in insurance, credit, and lending space. But what I see today is missing is pension space, the public pension. How do we create a micro pension sort of a scheme which can help bring in the rickshawalas, the laborers, the blue collar workers into the ambit of the safety net, the financial safety net, so that when they retire or when they age, they have sufficient financial backing to take care of their old ages. Now, coming back to a specific case. Now, in Karnataka, partly because of Center for Smart Governance, and partly because of the other ecosystem players, we have actually digitized the entire data of students starting from class 1 to the doctorate. Not at any point of time you will be able to know what will be the yield of a particular skill sets coming at this point of time in the year, in the future. Maybe 2026, this will be the number of doctorates of philosophies we will be having in certain subjects, or this type of engineering graduates we will have, these number of science graduates you will have. Now, how that information can be used to create a system like Naukri.com or 2.2 or something like the next generation of such systems, which does not source information from experienced individuals, but they utilize this information to identify the skill requirements and skill sourcing and help organizations direct their requirements to those areas. I think that is the second most important use case I would like to speak about, specific to Karnataka.
Full. In fact, I'm in Lucknow tomorrow morning talking about the skills needed, especially from a social impact. These are 1,000 girls from not necessarily the upper strata, but it's a mix, and mostly from a strata that needs more help, so to say. Now, my last question. You have set very high expectations. When I say you, the government of India, the government of Karnataka, what's happening with UPI, what's happening with ONDC, what's happening with Ayushman Bharat or the Ayushman Bharat cards, the healthcare insurance. What should we expect from you in the future? What should we be looking at coming from either your center or the government of Karnataka or the government of India? Where are we headed?
I think this is a very difficult question to answer because every government has its own policies and own vision, and the vision also keeps on changing. But one thing which you will see, which will happen for sure across every state, every government, is more practical adoption of new technologies. Government is slow. Government doesn't adopt anything immediately. It obviously, unlike the corporate or the private sector, which has financial well-being as one of its key impetus around which it starts investing on certain new things, innovating. Government's role is to play cautious because dealing with public money and public welfare. But yes, governments will adopt. And some of the things which I today see happening is on data analytics. Government is aggressively adopting and analyzing its data. There's a huge amount of data which we create. UPI has thrown out so many number, almost around 8,000 of 9,000 crore transactions happens every year now on UPI. That itself is giving you so much of insights about what is the spending patterns, how people are spending, what is their daily needs, what is their financial needs, how they are handling that thing. That is itself is throwing up so much of information. On the same lines now, EdTech is coming up, the educational technology sector, which is also coming up, which is also creating so much of information about what is happening, how the skills are getting generated, how the next layer of talents are coming up. So everything is coming up now. Now, analyzing that data and creating right policies is, I think, going to be the most important area where government is going to invest. So analytics is going to be the most important thing. And when you talk about analytics, another aspect which comes is artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now that is going to have a lot of impact. The reason why I would say that, unlike the corporate sector, which primarily deals with well-educated, well-literate individuals who understand the system, who understands how to operate a system, and they can be very suave in their interactions. When government interacts, it interacts with everyone. You may have digitally illiterate, you may have financially illiterate, and somebody may be really illiterate in every form. So now you have to interact with them. Now what we see is that AI has the potential to bridge that gap. Now it's actually replacing that human interaction where you required a human being to come up and assist you in understanding how I should avail a government program or how I should take a benefit from the government. Now that is getting transformed. People to government interactions are more or more will be getting managed using AI. That will be a big change which you will be seeing in due course. And
you'll be able to blame everything on AI.
At least I can tell you one
My
thing.
WhatsApp was blocked for no, and because of what I do, I know the bosses. They tell me it's AI. So anything you can blame it on AI, so not natural stupidity, on artificial intelligence.
Other way of looking at it is that if you end up paying bribe, then you can also blame it on AI. So that is.
I hope you're not talking about me.
Not about you, but about the ecosystem.
You're telling me that.
So in a serious note, that AI, whenever there's a human interaction, there are human emotions involved. And then when human emotions are involved, there's always a chance of bribery, corruption, everything is going to happen there. When you replace it with an unemotional systems like AI, you are actually able to cut out that middleman layer,
Sure.
which will simplify your interaction.
Similarly, like you gave the example of property paper registration. Correct. In Delhi, I can tell you there are middlemen who procure the stamp paper early or to pay them.
Yes.
They will get. So, clearly,
absolutely,
it democratizes it for everyone.
Absolutely.
Gives everyone a fair chance. Saves the time rather than the whole day. So there are advantages.
Correct.
There are less disadvantages and more advantages.
So information gap is what people leverage. The middleman leverages that information gap, which you don't have, that person has. And he leverages it for his financial benefit. That is where AI will help you to bridge that gap.
Brilliant. We have Mr. Bhattacharya with us. We can get one or two questions. Any questions for Mr. Bhattacharya? Even on the Indigo flight. Thank you.
Absolutely. Could we have a huge applause for both gentlemen right here? Come on, everybody.